guys, welcome back. Andrew here with Ambient Endeavors, and today I'm really excited to do this video talking about one of the newest guitars I've gotten into the studio here and just kind of doing some compare and contrast between two fantastic Gretsch offerings. But let's start by talking about the new addition here, the Gretsch 6636 TDC. This is a few years old. I just got it in trade from a good friend in town here, and I am already in love with this guitar. It's the slimmer center block version of the Falcon, and we're going to kind of run down some of the uniquenesses, differentiators of this Falcon, and how it compares and contrasts to the Pro Series Tennessean you see to my right here. I've reviewed that guitar and used it in some other videos. I think they're both fantastic guitars, and it'll be fun to kind of just explore them each in a comparative way in this video. So the first and most obvious thing you'll notice about the Falcon is it's that slimmer 1.75 inch body. It's similar to a 335 in that sense, and so it really does have that kind of feel as opposed to some of the larger, deeper bodied Gretsch hollow bodies like the Tennessean. So you have the center block construction, which makes it a semi-hollow. You get a little bit of that airiness and obviously that kind of like acoustic presence that you would expect from a semi-hollow, but you don't quite get that big, airy openness of the true hollow body that Gretsch offers. So that's one of the primary distinctions here with the Falcon in comparison to the Tennessean. Both guitars have the 24.6 inch scale length. You have laminated maple bodies here, a maple set neck with a similar neck profile. The Falcon does have an ebony fretboard, whereas the Tennessean has a rosewood board. And then in this specific guitar, the pickups have been changed to TV Jones Classics here, and it's set up with a set of flat wound strings to give it just a little bit of a different playing feel and experience, and a little bit more dull of a sound overall, especially when you're playing this kind of acoustically in the room. So I want to note those distinctions. This isn't really meant to be a really hard-nosed kind of apples to apples comparison. These are obviously different and unique guitars, but I just kind of wanted to play them side by side here for myself to just kind of hear and experience the similarities and differences, and also for many of you who have kind of reached out asking about the Falcon model or asking about some of the other Gretsch models in comparison to this Tennessean here. So we're going to do that. I'm going to share a few sound samples throughout, and then we're just going to kind of share some of my impressions or observations about these two guitars. The Tennessean is part of Gretsch's professional line, and this one was released in the end of 2024. I've had it in since then. This one has that 2.5-inch body depth, and so when you're playing this guitar, there's just a different feel. It sits in your lap or kind of on your strap in a different way than that slimmer Falcon body does. You also have the true hollow body construction here with the Tennessean that kind of gives more air and more just kind of resonance and projection than even that center block construction. The Tennessean also features the laminated maple body. You've got a similar tunematic bridge here on the Tennessean, but this one is affixed to a small piece of wood here and then to the body. The Falcons is seated right into the body of the guitar there. And then this guitar will have the Pro FT Filtertron style pickups from Gretsch. Same scale length, same 12-inch fretboard radius. It does kind of feel like the Tennessean has a little bit more exaggerated of the rounded fretboard edges. The necks are both listed as the same shape for both of these guitars, but this Tennessean just kind of, it feels smoother and more contoured as you move from the neck around into that fretboard there. So just a slightly different feel that I was noticing as I was playing the necks of both of these guitars. And this guitar, I'll also note, is stock as shipped with those round wound strings as opposed to the flats on the Falcon. Before I share my kind of takeaways, I want to hear from you, what you thought and kind of observed as you've been watching this video. So drop a note below in the comments if you've got some thoughts to share. For me, I was a little bit surprised at how similar these two guitars can sound. I kind of assumed that the hollow body and sort of larger, deeper body of the Tennessean would have quite a different kind of air and nature and presence to it than the Falcon. Recorded, they do sound pretty similar. I think the big thing for me when I think about the contrasts of these two guitars is primarily in the feel and the kind of playing approach. The deeper body style, for me, it's just a little bit less comfortable than that slim 1.75-inch body that the Falcon has in that model. And it just kind of lends itself to just a little more comfortable and familiar playing experience. Again, this is an apples and oranges comparison based on the variables that I've kind of listed, including pickups, including string type and that. So there's a bit of a mystery to where the subtle nuanced difference in tonality comes from. But what I was noticing about the Tennessean specifically is that some of the high-end kind of presence of the guitar was a little bit bright and abrasive at times, where the Falcon tended to kind of come across a little bit more smooth, a little bit more balanced and refined. And then again, in the low end of this Tennessean, it can kind of feel a little bit looser, whereas the Falcon with that slimmer body style, and perhaps the pickups have something to do with that too, the kind of tighter and more round bottom end there. But to me, there didn't really seem to be magnitudes of difference tonally in these two guitars. They both kind of give that really unique and cool Filtertron sparkle and chime, that kind of bit of compression and sparkle that you get in the highs of these pickups. And with this type of guitar, it makes it so unique and so cool. And then as you'll notice in the more overdriven sound samples, with this hollow body construction, you do start to get some of that swirling and kind of feedback and squealing from this Tennessean. You don't really get as much of that from the Falcon. And so that's something of note. It can be a barrier, it can kind of be a challenge to manage that live or in different situations if you've got kind of runaway feedback, or it can kind of be an element that you can play to or utilize in the studio for different moments and textures. So this has been a blast for me. Both of these guitars are really fantastic instruments. I'm pretty thrilled to have the Falcon in, as it does kind of seem to suit me and fit sort of the feel and the vibe of the playing that I like to do. Although the Tennessean is awesome as well when you get that hollow body sound and resonance and projection and air to it. It can be really cool for certain situations and parts. And so thanks for watching the video, for coming along the journey of comparison here as we've taken a look at the center block Falcon and the professional Tennessean from Gretsch. Again, drop any questions you have or your observations or thoughts below, and I'd love to chat more about these guitars with you there. Take care.